I am making this video and a couple ones coming up to express some significant criticisms I have of Ayn Rand's aesthetics. Some context, I'm an objectivist. I've been an objectivist for many years. I participated in the Ayn Rand Institute's educational programs. Ayn Rand has changed my life. I think she is a genius. I think she really came up with original philosophical ideas that were correct. And I also think her novels are good. Classics, even. Not as good as like Tolstoy and Flaubert, but really good. Really good. So I am making this though because I just want to express some problems I have with Ayn Rand's aesthetics, particularly her evaluation of movements like naturalism and modernism. In this video, I'm going to talk about criticisms she made of two particular passages, which I think is representative of certain flaws in her method of aesthetic valuation. Okay. So I'm going to show these two passages. I'm not going to give much context beyond what they're doing in the novel, and I'm going to mention which novels they're from. And then I'm going to want you guys to actually stop and think about what you think about those passages, whether you think they got problems or they're great or mixed or whatever. I'll tell you what Rand thought about them, and then I'll tell you what I think about what Rand thought about them. All right? You got a good agenda? All right, let's go. Here's the first passage. The context is a description of a drunk doctor's office. Okay? The most unsanitary corner was devoted to the cast iron sink, which was oftener used for washing eggy breakfast plates than for sterilizing instruments. On its ledge were a broken test tube, a broken fish hook, an unlabeled and forgotten bottle of pills, a nail-bristling heel, a frayed cigar butt, and a rusty lancet stuck in a potato. So please just pause the video here, read this passage over again, think about what it means, how to interpret it, what's the value of this passage if there's anything you're going to criticize, okay? Okay, let's move on to the second one. The context here is someone visiting England for the first time after having spent all their life in America. And the strangeness of having framed pictures of scenery behind the seats, of having hand straps, the embroidered silk covering so rough to the fingertips, the leather inside so smooth and cool beside the doors, and the great strangeness of admitting that these seats were more comfortable than the flinty pullman chairs of America. Again, pause the video, think about what this means, if it adds up to anything, if anything, are there problems here? Okay. So now that you have your own personal evaluation of these two passages, and I want to stress, if you haven't done that, why are you watching this video? Like, why are you wasting your time watching this if you haven't actually come to your own opinion on these passages? Let's talk about what Rand thought about them. For the first passage, and by the way, I'm getting this from The Art of Fiction, an edited version of her lectures. I've listened to the original lectures more than once, actually, and I think it's fairly faithful to the original. It's been a while, and I haven't compared them line by line, but I think it's fairly accurate, if heavily edited and turned around, as one has to do when converting to a book. So let's see what exactly she thought of the first passage of the sink. This catalog would give one a clear description if one were a mover and had to pack those things, but it does not gel into an overall impression of what kind of place the office was. So she's saying it's meaningless. It gives you a lot of details that add to nothing. Let's see what the second one says. The one about the train. These are observant concretes of the kind a returning traveler would tell his friends about, but they are not an artistic description of the essence of an English train compartment. So again, a bunch of details that don't add to anything, that don't give you the essence of what it's describing. I think both of these evaluations are incredibly wrong, startlingly wrong. These descriptions very clearly are conveying something about the doctor's office and the doctor by extension or the train. Let's go back and look at them. These details. The cast iron sink, which was oftener used for washing eggy breakfast plates than for sterilizing instruments. You don't want to hear that about your doctor? That he's more often cleaning his plates than his actual instruments? That's unsanitary? On its ledge were a broken test tube and a broken fish hook. The first one is at least relevant to his work. The second one is a pure recreational object. That shouldn't be there at all. An unlabeled and forgotten bottle of pills. That's funny, by the way. Like, he didn't label it. He forgot it. It's a mystery bottle of pills now. Could be arsenic, could be antibiotics. Who knows? A nail bristling heel, just a personal care object. A frayed cigar butt. He's just smoking and he just leaves it there, and it's also sort of a mess too. It's frayed. And my favorite, a rusty lancet stuck in a potato. A lancet is a medical instrument. It's rusty, so it's of no use anymore. It should be thrown away. And he just stuck in a potato one day, I guess from lack of anywhere else to put it. Like, these details are conveying a doctor who is not orderly, unsanitary, consistent with behavior of a drunk. It's very evocative of, well, what the room is like and what kind of person the doctor is like. Rand is wrong when she says that it does not gel into an overall impression of what kind of place the office was. Yes, it does. I don't know how anyone could read this passage and not see what it meant. It's actually kind of mysterious to me how she could have made this mistake. Moving on to the second one. So here's the passage about the train. One thing I do want to criticize this passage for is grammatical awkwardness. This part of having hand straps, description, beside the doors. That's awkward. That is hard to parse. But the actual details included in this passage are extremely evocative in my mind. So let's go through them. The strangeness of having framed pictures of scenery behind the seats. That's really fancy. Like having actual pictures in your train. Of having hand straps beside the doors. That's a nice plus. That's something that's enjoyable, useful to have. Embroidered silk coverings so rough to the fingertips, like embroidered silk coverings on your hand straps. That's, again, pretty fancy. It's so intricate, it's rough to the fingertips. The leather inside so smooth and cool. That's some nice leather we have here. More fanciness. And the great strangeness of admitting that these seats are more comfortable than the flinty pullman chairs of America. The pullman chairs were the good ones in America. And these London trains are much nicer. Their seats are more comfortable. It's better than the best stuff we have in America. So altogether, we're getting the essential impression of an English train that it's fancy. It has framed pictures, hand straps beside the doors, embroidered silk coverings, leather, and are just more comfortable. This is very clearly what the impression that Lewis is trying to convey and successfully conveys about an English train compartment. Rand is very, very wrong when she goes on to say, but they are not an artistic description of the essence of an English train compartment. No, this is an artistic description of the essence of the English train compartment. The essence is that it's fancy. Very fancy, and all of these details convey it. Again, I really don't know how someone misreads a passage this totally. So those are the two passages I wanted to show you guys that I think Rand fundamentally misread, and misread in a way that I think is representative of her broader approach to naturalist literature. I hope this video raised some questions in your minds, just questions. I'll be probably making more later in the relatively near future on this theme of Rand's evaluation of other aesthetic movements. Yeah. I will also be including some links down below, just so that to both of those passages, so that you can evaluate whether these particular passages fit in the broader context of those novels. Both of them are actually from passages that are relatively short. So if you actually want to litigate this thing very specifically, which, good for you if you do, that resource is readily available. Yeah, so thanks for watching. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I can't finish that sentence. See you later.